and welcome back to Stanny Boy Reviews. I'm your host, Stanley. Thank you so much for taking the time to check out my channel where I like to talk about my favorite horror films and yours. You guys have to forgive me. I have been so scattered lately, which in result has made my reviews a little scattered as well. Full disclosure, your boy is back in therapy. You know, I've just been processing a lot of this emotional bullshit that I've been putting on the back burner for the last 7 months. And I'm investing a little bit more time and energy into this acting class that I've been taking for the last few years because I'm paying for it and I'm an actor, so I might as well take it seriously. I have also decided to start making my apartment feel a little bit more like a home, so I bought furniture. That's where I'm at. I'm back now. I'm back and I'm using excessive hands. We are going to be talking about 2013's Evil Dead reboot/remake. We can forget all about that trash fire Children of the Corn garbage that we talked about a couple of weeks ago. Go grab your chainsaws. Go grab your Necromonicons. Go grab your box knives. And let's go visit another creepy cabin in the woods that we should not be visiting. We should probably get rid of these while we're at it. The Evil Dead movies have always been so much fun for me. There isn't a bad one in the bunch. I saw them completely out of order. My grandmother had a VHS copy of Army of Darkness that she allowed me to see when I was about 7 years old. And I remember being so enamored with the special effects, even at that young age, and also thinking Bruce Campbell was so fine. Even on the animated box cover. And I would watch that movie so much. It was one of my earliest introductions to horror. But it took me about 4 or 5 viewings to realize that there were movies that came before it, that it was the third in a trilogy of films. Eventually, I saw them all and I loved them all for their own whack-ass reasons. And there had been talk about a new Evil Dead film since the early 2000s. And the idea remained dead until about mid-2011 when it was announced that Sam Raimi, through his Ghost House Pictures production company, was going to be producing a new film with Bruce Campbell, who played Ash in the original 3 films. Fede Alvarez was chosen to direct, and he and his partner would write the script, but Diablo Cody, who wrote Jennifer's Body and Juno,
thank you very much,
would be brought in to tinker with the script to Americanize the dialogue because neither Alvarez or his writing partner were all that great in the English language. I also would like to make a special note that Evil Dead 2013 would be Alvarez's feature film directorial debut. Just put that in your back pocket. Filming would take place in the spring of 2012 in New Zealand on a budget of $17 million. It would go on to open in March the following year, giving itself the tagline, "The most terrifying film you will ever experience." I remember seeing the poster for this when I lived in Alaska and wondering, how are they gonna do this? How is this going to A, beat the original, and B, be terrifying? To me, the original was scary, yeah, but more so in a darkly funny way, especially after watching the trailer. This kind of seemed like it was going to be a balls to the wall horror film. It did not look like there was going to be any sort of comic element to it. I remember leaving the theater just having been visually assaulted. It was a mind-blowing experience. This movie, it was really gory and disgusting and character-driven, just really brutal. This movie did it for me. On Rotten Tomatoes, we're looking at a pretty ridiculously low 63%, and on Metacritic, we got a 57 out of 100. But you know what? We can't win all of them. And either way, Evil Dead 2013 grossed over 97 million worldwide. So, however it was perceived, it had an audience. Let's get on with it, shall we? Evil Dead is about a group of old friends who have decided to gather at an old cabin in the middle of the woods so they can help one of their own, Mia, played to complete perfection by Jane Levy, kick heroin. You know, normal Tuesday. The gang consists of Olivia, the nurse mother of the group, played by Jessica Lucas from Cloverfield, and then the high school teacher pessimist Eric, indie cutie Lou Taylor Pucci, who was in one of my favorite films, The Chum Scrubber from 2004. But they can't really get the party started until Mia's brother David and his girlfriend Lucy, played by Shiloh Fernandez and Elizabeth Blackmore, respectively, show up. Now, it wouldn't be an Evil Dead movie without the book of the mother dead in a basement full of dead cats and an evil doppelganger of Mia just wandering around in the woods waiting to sexually assault her with tree branches. Now, Eric is the one to first open the Necromonicon, but Mia is the first to be possessed by the Necromonicon.
You are all going to die tonight.
And once the blood starts flowing, it gets red as and pretty soon, everyone is turning into bloodthirsty demons from hell saying vulgar, awful things to each other, cutting each other up. And dude, it is phenomenal. I think it's safe to say at this point that I'm a fan of a good remake slash reboot as long as it's done right. As I said earlier, this is one that is done right. Evil Dead 2013 delivered so much on all fronts as far as the acting, the gore, the effects, the music, the all around everything. I remember being satisfied 10 years ago, and I was just as satisfied, if not more so, on my most recent rewatch. And this movie is 10 years old. We're celebrating its 10-year anniversary this month. It still holds up so well. There's not a lot wrong with it. And the things that are wrong with it are so forgivable that I guess I could really go out of my way to call it a perfect horror movie. It has enough nods to the original movie, so many Easter eggs just floating around. Any real true fan is going to catch them. I did. And I love that a lot of the effects that are used in the film are practical, aside from some of the CGI effects that are used to clean up said practical effects, but it looks good. And I also think that this particular entry in the franchise could stand as a sequel. It doesn't necessarily feel like a remake. It exists in the universe, but a worthy addition to the series as well, which I totally dig. It's ferocious and fresh enough as its own entity. Now, I have to mention Miss Jane Levy, man. What a force of nature. While some of the other actors are not as strong as the others, that's fine. Jane Levy carries this entire movie on her tiny little shoulders. Oh my goodness. This girl is put through the ringer. Like the entire length of the movie. And she does not falter once. She just gets better and better as the movie goes on. Like, this is a final girl.
You have to get me out of here.
You're just cheering for her. Once it's over, you realize that you have sweated to death for this character. Kudos to Jane Levy, because this is what people should strive for if they want to be in a horror film. This is the kind of role that they want, and she nailed it. I really enjoyed Lou Taylor Pucci as well, and Jessica Lucas did a fine job. I didn't really care for Shiloh Fernandez or Liz Blackmore, but I don't think the script did either, so I don't blame them necessarily. I blame the writer. Someone named Roque Baños composed the score, and I'm not one to really seek out a movie soundtrack, but this film has such a unique and scary score that after I watched it most recently, I went on YouTube and listened to the entire soundtrack. This guy did the score for movies like The Machinist from 2004 with Christian Bale, and he also would go on to do Don't Breathe, also directed by Alvarez. There were some parts of this soundtrack that really got under my skin. The music of this movie is worth seeking out afterward. Now, remember when I said that this is Alvarez's feature film directorial debut? This movie. This is a powerhouse. Imagine if this was your directorial debut. And then he would go on to do Don't Breathe, also starring Jane Levy. And also another exercise in claustrophobia and tension. I love seeing people start out strong and just get better with each project. And that goes for both Alvarez and Jane Levy. So on Stanny's Stab-O-Meter, if you haven't guessed where I was going with this, 5 stabs. 100%. Evil Dead 2013 is a non-stop, visceral, vicious, insane, dirty movie. It knows exactly what kind of movie it is. I'm doing the hand things again because I'm so excited. And it knew what kind of movie it wanted to be back then too. It's full throttle from beginning to end, and you just have an intense special effects extravaganza the entire time, and Jane Levy just stealing the show. Movies like this used to get made. I miss movies like this. They're a dime a dozen at this point. But Evil Dead Rise is right around the corner, and it's getting nothing but terrific reviews, and I can't wait to watch that after watching this. We'll see. Where do you guys stand with this one? Did you ever see Evil Dead 2013? Do you plan to watch it if you haven't seen it? Let me know what you think in the comments. Have you seen any of the Evil Dead movies? If you haven't, I think you should definitely give them a watch. Don't forget, I am on social media. You can find me on Instagram, you can find me on Twitter, and you can find me on TikTok. And also, you guys, please don't forget to subscribe. I'll be back soon with another review. And oh, also, check out this hat. This is great, right? What do you think? I think it's pretty rad. I need to get new shirts. Buy me things. Buy me some new shirts. See ya.
Never